I said you are Stephanie Jackson, 52-year-old wife of 31 years, mother of 4, who spent the last 10 years working to go from trauma to triumph. And now you're a life coach, speaker, a talk show host of The Sweet Life of Stephanie J, podcast host, and you are helping women to go from obstacle to face their obstacles and create their sweetest life.
Yep, that's it. That is
wow. So Stephanie, tell me what your definition of success is.
Oh, I love that question because I think it's so individualized. So everybody really has, I was just talking to my daughter about this today, that everyone has their own path, but truly like the way I look at success and the way I encourage others to look at success as really just overcoming those challenges. And every time you push past a challenge, something holding you back, something that, tries to interrupt your flow and you don't let that's success. So every little victory is success. It's not this ending point. And one thing that I do teach about goal setting is a goal is not an end point. It's just a step to a step to a step. And every time you keep taking those steps, that's success. So it's how you truly define it for your own life.
Right. And success is personal. We all have our own definitions of success. And sometimes people think of success at the end of the road, this big thing, but it's the everyday steps that we take, that we're continuing in our, momentum of success, because it's day by day and we build upon it every day. That's a great answer. Thank you so much for that answer. Now, what has been your greatest obstacle when pursuing success?
Probably me. I've probably been my biggest obstacle. And I think that mostly because when you don't have confidence in yourself and you don't have confidence in what's already been placed in you, then you don't even take those steps. You don't see yourself even making those moves. So you end up stuck. And a lot of years I was stuck because I looked at everybody else around me. I look at my sister's career, and she, was this businesswoman, and, that's how the world defines success. Financially, it defines success that way. So I didn't see myself as successful, even though I had done a lot of really great things. I kept looking at what other people were doing, and that kept me from moving forward. So really my own self was the thing that stopped me from even being stronger in areas, even when in my career as a nurse, I really moved in every step of it. But every time that I moved forward, I never saw it as success. I saw it as a thing that I was supposed to do. So I never got to really appreciate being successful. So I really was my own stumbling block. Because had I really seen every step as successful, I probably would have moved further quicker in my life. That's why the last 10 years were the time when I really stopped getting in my own way. And I really started really appreciating me for the gifts I had and stopped looking at the gifts of other people around me. And that was the one single thing that kept me moving forward versus being stuck.
That's it. That's really something that you said, because sometimes we don't realize that we're focused on other people. We start comparing ourselves to other people, and that kind of blocks us from seeing, the greatness that we have. Because I've done that too in my past, looking at other people, seeing like, oh wow, they're really doing all of this. And on the other hand, I'm accomplishing goals that I've had, but it's not looked at to me as like success because I'm so focused on what other people are doing. So you got to bring it in and focus on your gifts, your talent, your journey,
your path, right? Your journey. Exactly. Right. I was actually just talking to my daughter about this, about, her next steps and where she's going. She's a junior in high school, but I was like, okay, don't compare yourself to the other people that you see and where they're at. This is your own journey. I told her, I guarantee you in 5 years, all these people who you think are doing so great, they're going to be struggling. They're going to, either be in college or out of college, and they're going to have their challenges. That's why you have to stay on your own journey. And it took me personally a long time to do that, even though in my nursing career, I had a lot of successes. Like I said before, I never saw them as successes. I just said, well, that's the next step. So, I'm taking it, but I never saw I never looked around and saw, I'm actually really doing something individually great for me, but I saw this person had this and that person was here, and I was always trying to achieve what they had. And then I realized that, it took me a long time to realize that it's not even about that. So that's why really my mission is to help other women to really work through that earlier, or at the point where they're at, so that they don't spend the rest of their life chasing that.
Mm. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that's joining us today. It's kind of hard for me to see your names that joined us. Let's see. Oh, Leanne. Thanks for joining us, Leanne.
Thanks,
and
Leanne.
Let's see. Moss_talks. Thanks so much for joining us as well. So, Stephanie, you are like, you have so much going on. You're a pediatric nurse.
I am.
You're a mom of 4. You're a wife of 31 years.
Yeah.
And your daughter is in just gymnastics as well. So I see you traveling the country with her gymnastics team. Tell me how you fit all that in to your everyday life.
Lord Jesus, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get done what I get done, and then I leave stuff for the next day. But I try to be really structured with my days. Like I try to really, like my evenings when I come home, I try to have a plan. I always try to work with a plan. So I spend my time on the weekends organizing my time. I map out like what I'm going to do each day to see what so I can get accomplished my bigger goal. And I do take care of myself. That's something I do. I wake up every morning, most mornings, maybe 1 or 2 a week I don't. And I either work out, I get some word of God in, but I always do something for myself from that perspective. I've gotten so much better than that. I used to be complaining when I didn't get time to do stuff for myself. Now I make time for myself. And that's one way that I actually stop and take time to recuperate. But I'm very strategic about my time, And I think that's important. If you're really looking to achieve something, you have to own the time that you get. Like everyone always says, Beyonce only gets 24 hours too. Whatever, she does all this in 24 hours. But hello, Beyonce has a lot of help. But she also is very strategic about what she eats, her workouts, and how she spends her time. And we can do the exact same thing. So I'm very strategic about my evenings, my time. I don't spend a lot of time. Like one thing I don't do during the weekdays, and I've committed myself, I do not watch Netflix during the weekdays. That is purely a weekend activity. And so I don't spend idle time during the weekdays doing something like that. I spend that time working on my business or, doing things with my family. And that's like some of the ways. And I always meal prep. So in the evening when I come home, like I'm getting ready to actually I started meal prep right before I came on here. My meals are all ready to go. I don't have to come home and cook. And that saves me evening time that I can focus on doing things like writing, like Shar keeps getting me, I need to get back to my writing, and working on my business. So it's very strategically using your time. Unfortunately, you have to plan ahead.
Now, I want to just talk about a few things that you said. You talked about, and these are some of the things I talk about in my book, Keys to Success, discipline and consistency. You have to be discipline. And you were saying a lot of things that you were doing, but you have to make yourself accountable. Are there any accountability partners that you talk to weekly, or who holds you accountable?
I really, honestly, I am truly one of those people that I hold myself accountable. I do have you're one of them. You keep me on track. And then I have a couple others, like Andrea used to be one, and I haven't talked to her as much, but I truly, and my best friend Jan, like she's kind of like me. She's like always achieving stuff. So she keeps me on track to make sure I'm focused. But I think I want what I want so bad at this point, that I make myself stay accountable. And if I'm not, then, if I know like I'm slipping, like I think one day a few weeks ago, like I found myself this Netflix show. I could not, like after the weekend, I couldn't stop watching it. And I had to no, this is for the weekend. The show's going to be there. Turn it off and turn it on Friday night. I had to get on myself.
Netflix is addictive.
And I no, don't even click that Netflix app on your iPad. Like, move it away. Don't even open it. And I had to be very, very I had to get on myself. So I have to hold my own self accountable. And the other thing is, I have 3 adult children and I have a teenage daughter. And a lot of time for me, like I'm setting an example for them on how to be accountable, how to achieve a goal, how to stay consistent. And I feel like I can show them that even like in my everyday busy life, they all have come back to me and said, gosh, Mom, you're like I really admire you because you do all this stuff and you still are focused on and so knowing that I can impact them, if I can impact anybody, like if I can impact my kids to achieve a goal, to set a goal and to work at it and realize you have to sacrifice to work at it, like that's right there is my accountability.
That's really good. And also I see one thing about you,
and my community, like truly my community, because I don't want to let them down. I want to provide them with good resources. I want to provide them with good information, and I want to be consistent with them. So that's another area that keeps me accountable.
That's great. Now, I love your content. Sometimes I look at your page and I'm like, oh my God, I was just thinking the same thing. And it's like always on the same wavelength. And I'm like, wow. Now, I love your content, and you have a course about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is one of my favorite topics. Tell us a little bit more about your course and how you came up with the mind map and how emotional intelligence correlates to achieving success.
Oh, God, that's like the first thing. And I think the reason I made that course was because in my life, it's called trigger traps. And those are the things that have gotten me personally distracted, are the things that trigger me. So like, say I come home, my husband says something to me, and then I'm just mad, like pissed off, then I'm totally distracted. Like I'm not being productive. I can't get anything done because all I want to think about and talk about is that thing. And so the class really is really based on finding those triggers, the things that keep you from moving forward, recognizing them, identifying them, and then building resources so that you're prepared when they come. You're like, okay, oh no, this is about to happen. I'm about to go there, that you can, instead of going there and letting that steal everything, your day, your feelings, your emotions, that then you can turn that around to be productive. And so that's the purpose of it. It's really one of the classes that I feel like the first steps to even stepping into starting your goal planning, even stepping into a vision for your life, is you have to recognize what's going on the inside of you, how that's affecting you taking steps, and then developing skills so that it doesn't steal where you're going, your vision, your purpose.
Right, because those emotional trigger traps will keep you stuck.
They will.
They'll keep you stuck, and you can't move forward. And if you're stuck, you can't unleash your greatness. If you're stuck, you're taking those same issues with you everywhere. Everything you touch is going to be stuck.
People you run to at the grocery store, you could be mad about your husband, and someone cuts you off, and then you're mad at them because they cut you off, and you're really mad at the first person who got you mad, or that person who said that thing to you at work. I had that come up this week at work, and I was like, I used my trigger. I believe in God, so I go and start praying first, and someone said something crazy to me and kind of snapped at me, and I was like, I went, ooh. So I walked away. At first I put my headphones in because I was like, I need a moment because I don't want to react. And then I had to think about what she might be going through, and that, why she reacted that way. And so I prayed about it, and then I let it go. And then I found that when I'm able to recognize how I'm about to react, I can stop how I'm about to react. I can go to what helps me not react that way, really, address it okay, is it me? Am I too sensitive? Is she having a bad day? Or is it me? Is it her? Okay, I just need to let it go. I need to pray about it. I need to recognize maybe how I may have contributed to that reaction. And if it's her, then I got to just pray that she owns it and walk away. Otherwise, I'm holding on to all that emotion, and I'm sitting there at my desk mad. And, she could have had a really, an issue with her child, or something happened, and I'm taking that personal. So the trigger traps really helps you to identify the you that you don't want to talk about, the you that makes it easier when you can call your girlfriend and just, girl, you know what she did? She was talking all crazy to me at work. And she was. Yes, she was. Girl, you don't even take that from her. You need to cut. And then next thing you know, you're going off, and so.
I like what you said. You said sometimes we don't realize what we contribute to certain situations, and that's the hardest thing, to look at yourself and what am I doing to cause the situation? Because it's not always the other person. But sometimes when we acknowledge what we're doing and what we can work on, that helps us a lot as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I had a coaching client once, and that was one area. She had a lot of challenges in her business relationships. And she was really challenged with keeping employees because she was reacting to how they were treating her. And so we had to do a lot of work to really work through getting her to own what part of it was her. Because her being the boss, she didn't see her side of it. And when she started really to own her reactions and how she was dealing with their immaturity, she doesn't begin to see it a different way. And so, I mean, it really has helped her business relationships. She's really grown as a person, and just like seeing her being able to identify that now, and be able to grow like truly was. So that's really where the trigger traps grew from, was that I saw that it really worked effectively for some of my clients that I coached. And that's why I created the course.
Now I want to go back a little bit, and in your intro, I was saying that you went from trauma to triumph. Can you tell us a little bit about those years, 10 years that you were going through, and what you had to do to get past all those, like therapy? What helped you get past all of that?
Yes. Oh gosh. Well, so when I was 16, I was sexually assaulted. And so I didn't really deal with it. My family kind of swept it under the rug. They swept everything that came after it under the rug. And, you know, I was expected just to move forward, have a great life, and go forward. And when I got married, a lot of that manifested of all that I had held in, that I didn't deal with. And so probably the first 20 years of our marriage were really, really up and down, because I was up and down. And then as I had a point where it was like, you hit rock bottom. And so I took about a month off work and did therapy. I got so deep into the word. Like, honestly, I thought I was going to be a minister at one point, because I was just like, I was like walking around with the word in my hand. And then I really started to see life from a different perspective. All those years I was blaming everybody else and I was hurting. I really started to take ownership of that, and really to, recognize the me on the inside, that I had to actually grow, that young girl had to grow up. And so I spent those 10 years really growing that young girl up that never had the chance to grow up, who was still stuck. Wow.
That's something, because a lot of things happen to us in our childhood or, our young teenage years, and we don't address it because a lot of times it's too hard for our parents to address it. They don't know how to address it. And it's like we don't forget. We still know, we still have those hurts deep down inside of us, but we keep on living. And then some things, like in relationships, if you're married or some other close relationship, those things come out. They come out some kind of way. It just can't stay there hidden forever. It's going to come out some kind of way. And if we don't deal with those issues,
and it's going to blow up. In our communities, we are the worst about, putting stuff aside and, not going to therapy. Don't tell people your business. Don't go talk to somebody about our business. That's family stuff, and all that stuff that just stays in our families, and us, especially as Black women, stays in us, and we carry that with us. We carry that hurt and that shame, and that self-hurt and that insecurity just grows. It like you said, it doesn't go anywhere. It stays right there, and it manifests in some way, shape, or form, whether it's in relationships, work experience, it's going to manifest. People and turn to drugs. I thank God that wasn't me in that area, but in emotional area, I had a really hard time, because I didn't know who I was, and I was still struggling with all the hurt and shame I had on the inside. So those 10 years, I really focused on therapy. The Word of God was huge, therapy, and I really, a lot of self-development. Like, I think I have every self-development book probably was, written between then and now. And I just wholeheartedly made a decision that I did not want to live like that anymore. I didn't want my family to go through that anymore, especially my husband. I didn't want him to go through that. And I owed it to myself to really live a full and happy life. And so that's really what helped me make the decision that I wanted to take that step. So that 10 years was a lot of work. And now I see the result of it, and how I feel and how I can react, and, and it feels really good. So I want other women to feel what that feels like, that freedom.
Tell me about your life coaching. How did you get into life coaching? It sounds like it was just a natural progression based upon what you've gone through. But tell me about what made you say, you know what, I want to be a life coach.
I guess because I always was talking to people, and I always felt like people were coming to me and sharing like their life. Like, and they were like, okay, what do I do about it? And I'm like, I can just tell you from my experience, like, I don't have any training, but this is how, I would progress into this. And then I started to see how my time with people was really helping them. So I went back and got my certification because I really wanted to learn more how I could really help people. And actually, I'm working on a second certification right now, which is a health, nutrition, and life coaching certification. Just because I found one of the other things that really people manifest their pain is food and in their health and their bodies. So that's why I wanted to go for the health and certification. But it just really felt like I really enjoy. So really, let me go back. Okay, I had a business that was I was selling clothes. I had my own boutique, and as I did the boutique I did it for 3 years, I think. I enjoyed way more talking to the women. I found myself at these parties I was giving for the boutique, talking to the women, hearing their stories, like basically having life coaching sessions while I was supposed to be selling clothes to them. And they would come to my house and they would come to buy clothes, and it would end up being a life coaching session, which I didn't know what that was at the time. They were just telling me what they were feeling, and I was helping them to really see it from a different perspective. That's kind of how I was like, well, that's what I was doing in my whole, my clothing business when I was supposed to be selling clothes. And it just felt really natural, and I loved it. Like, I absolutely love hearing women's stories. I love helping them walk through it. Like, I just love that because I love seeing how they feel on the other side. And I love seeing that they can walk away and have a different perspective and, put some more thought into it. And being able to spend time, that's what the next step in my business is going to be. In the next couple months, I think in March, I'm going to start a group coaching.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that. That's up and coming. I've been working on that for like the past 8 months because I really want it to be effective, and I really want to get a group of women who are really ready to work, who really want to see that next level of growth in their life. Wow.
Yes, because you have to do the work. Without doing the work, you can't get from point A to point B. And some of the things that, we have to work on, it really takes us a lot of time because it's acknowledging the things that we need to work on, and that's hard.
Right.
Nobody wants to think about, well, what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's hard, but you have to work on yourself first before you can help others.
Absolutely.
Now, the last couple of weeks, I've been seeing in your feed, you've been doing new things. I don't know how many, is it something you do once a month, a new thing, or tell me about that project.
Oh, so that was one of so my, who challenged me? My cousin. So January came and she said, hey, I'm going to do this thing this year. I'm going to try something new every month. And I was like, okay, I can get on board with that. Like, that seems like a cool thing. So I wrote down, I started writing down a list of things. I have a list of things I want to do, but I'm challenging myself to do something new I've never done before every single month of 2020. So the first one was eyelashes, which I was excited about because I always wanted eyelashes and I always been afraid to get them. So I had the opportunity to get eyelashes. I had a photo shoot, which actually was a new thing I had never done. I always wanted to do. And so I kind of have mapped out for the next, I think I have the next 8 months mapped out on new things I want to do. So one of them is going to be aerial yoga. It's some of my friends and I are going to do that. I want to do this. We have these places where you can race cars. I want to do that. I want to do axe throwing. I want to go to the shooting range. I've always wanted to go to shooting range and shoot a gun. And so these are they're all things. And one thing I always tell people is you don't know if you like something until you try it. It could be the thing that is your absolute favorite thing. You never know if you never even pick it up and try it. So I'm challenging myself, and I'm challenging, if other people want to join in, I just think it's really something fun to do something different every month. And Groupon has a lot of really great Groupons, so you can always go to Groupon. Flotation is one of the other ones, the saltwater floating. I want to do that. It scares the crap out of me to be in a little space and be floating in water, but I want to do it.
Yeah, that's really exciting because there's sometimes we're so guarded and just live our everyday life, going to work, going to home, going to church, celebrate with families every now and then. But a lot of times we're just so, sheltered to all these other things that are going on in life. But I think I'm gonna adopt that too. I need to do something new every month. Yeah. Now tell us about your published work.
It'll be fun.
Tell us about your published work.
Yeah. So I just I didn't even bring my book up here. I'm so mad at myself. I'm going to tell my husband. My husband's on here. Bring me my, he won't know where it is. Oh, bring me a stack of books on the kitchen table. Hopefully you'll hear me. So I just published a workbook. So one of the things I've been working for a while was helping people to overcome the fear of starting, because that seems to be the biggest challenge for all of us, is to overcome the fear of starting something new. So that's one of the reasons I'm challenging myself every month to do something new. But I just released a new workbook on Amazon, and I hope he's on here and he brings it up off the kitchen table. I'm so mad at myself. I meant to grab it. It's called Overcoming the Fear of Starting Workbook. And really it takes, he heard me. Look at him. He's so good. I got the best husband ever. Thank you, babe.
Yes.
I should have brought it. So it's a very small little workbook. It's pocket size, and I like it because you can stick it in your bag. You can work on it, but it really takes you through the 6 steps of achieving a goal. And it's the way I have it written is like, you may stop at step 1 and be at step 1 and have to do some work. Step 1 is mindset. So if your mind is not in the right place, you may have to stop there and do some work. And step 2 is brainstorming, starting to brainstorm, writing your goal out, but it's a whole brainstorming session of just writing down ideas, things you love, getting an idea. And the next step is research. And that's huge because these aren't steps you can just open this book and I'm going to do this tonight. I'm going to do this page tonight. This is going to take some thought and some time. So I'd like to expand on it in the future. But right now, this workbook is $9.15 and it's available on Amazon. Overcoming the Fear of Starting. If you put that in your Amazon, or you can go to The Sweet Life of Stephanie J, and my link in my bio is the very first link. So I just really want people to realize that when you're setting goals and intentions for your life, there's places you have to be here prior to you taking that step. You can't say, I want to write a book, but you want to write a book, but you haven't really dealt with the stuff you want to write the book about, or you found yourself that you're a procrastinator. Be honest, you're a procrastinator, and you're a procrastinator. You got to be honest with yourself where you're at right now and say, okay, how can I stop being a procrastinator and write this book? Take 15 minutes every day and write. Okay, I'm going to set my intention to write 15 minutes every day. But you have to have a mindset of whatever that thing you want to achieve, whatever you're afraid of, your mindset has to change the fear of it by starting at where you're at in your mindset and start playing around with where you want to go with it and do some research on it, and then take the next step to really start a timetable. So this walks you through that step by step to really, really, really achieving a goal, not just saying, I want to write a book, and then, it sits on writing that intention, where you in your journal, I want to write a book. So this is the next step. Yeah. So I'm really,
and what you said is so true. When you start going through the process of wanting to do something, it'll just sit there if you don't do the work. Because when you want to write a book, and if you're writing about something that was past trauma or whatever, you relive that stuff. So it takes longer for you to get all that on paper.
I did not realize that when I started writing my book, and I'm still writing it, but when I started, I really started to relive that, and that you have to be able to put it on paper. And I was I had a couple of days when I was sitting here just crying and writing, but because I'm in a different place, I can cry and write that and walk away from it, and it doesn't stay with me. You know what I'm saying? My mindset's in a place where I know the purpose for writing it isn't for me to relive it. The purpose for me is retell it to help somebody else. So your mindset is very important, because if you're still hurt and you're writing it, you're going to get stuck in that hurt. So there's just things that you really have to, that I've learned through my life of setting goals and achieving them, that you have to be here in a place, and then you have to take the steps. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hoping to release a class. I don't want to call it a master class. This is more like a workshop. I guess it is more like a workshop. And really take people through each step, and do activities related to each step. So I'm working on that right now. I don't think it'll be ready I know it's not going to be ready by February, because I'm just really starting to put it on paper. But I'm hoping by March, April that I'll be able to have that work group ready to go. But I really want to take people who really want to achieve something, and they really want to take those steps. I want to take them with them. I want to do it together.
Now, is your Trigger Traps class available now?
It is. It's still up. It's still on my website. If you go to yoursweetestlife.com, it's so easy to remember that, yoursweetestlife.com. You'll find it there under my products. That one, and I actually just cleaned a bunch of things up out of there, but I did leave trigger traps up there. So that one is available. It's a full it has 5 levels, but the 5th level, you actually create a map for yourself. I've done it myself. I love looking at it because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to react like this. Like it reminds me like, oh yeah, that's right. I did commit myself to, instead of like when I get mad at somebody shutting down, which is what I have a tendency to do, either lash out or shut down. And if I shut down, then I know I'm going internal and it's all going to stay in my head. To really identify like, okay, how do I own this? What have I said or done that could have affected this happening? And then I find sometimes that like, actually, like I did, like when I'm honest with myself, as my husband was saying, when I'm honest with myself, I realized, yeah, I kind of did say that. Yeah,
it puts you in check. It keeps you in check.
It does keep you in check. So I want to be honest with myself. But yeah, it's still available on the website, yoursweetestlife.com. Yep, you'll find that there. My podcast, the link to my podcast is there. I also have a blog I write on there because I try to keep myself like writing because it's a really good habit for me to keep doing it since I do want to continue to write my book. So I do have blog posts on there that I write. There's a lot on there. And I also do some of my shopping stuff is on there too. I haven't updated that lately, but I do like to shop and do that stuff too. So that's on there. There's a bunch of stuff on there. So just, yoursweetestlife.com. Head on over there and you get all of the goods.
Thank you. So I want to say a shout out to Desi for joining us, Glenda Wright, and also the Turning Point for joining us. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're talking to Stephanie Jackson, life coach, wife of 31 years, mother of 4, pediatric nurse, podcast host. She just does everything. She does everything. Now, Stephanie, you talk about a lot of the things that you've done. How do you unwind? Because you do a lot. What do you do? Like, what's your one go-to when it's time to unwind?
It's so funny that you say that because me and my husband, he was like, you need to unwind more. And that's an area that I'm challenged in. It's funny because I never took baths. And my husband has always been like a bath taker. And I'm like, that's too much time wasted. Like, I got stuff to do. So lately I've started actually I know I'm so bad. I've started taking baths, spending time with my girlfriends, going out with my husband and having like couple time, like he makes me stop working. A lot of times he has to make me stop working. Or we actually spend a lot of time. We like to watch space shows. So in the evening, he'll be like, okay, time to shut the work down. Time to shut it down. Let's go watch watch something on TV or watch a space show. I'm like, okay, I know I need to stop.
It's hard
so that's something I'm working on.
It's hard
reading. I still love to read. I do commit myself, and this is what I do every single night. I commit myself. I stop by 10 o'clock. I need to probably stop earlier, and I spend time in the Bible. I always do some scripture study, and I read something else for like 15 minutes, whether it's nonfiction or something like that. I always spend every night. I read and I study my Bible every night. That's really helps me to unwind.
That's good. Leanne, thanks so much for joining us. Okay, now tell me, what projects are you doing any collaborations with anyone this year?
Oh gosh. So one thing I'm really working on is my talk show. I really want to make it a weekly talk show. That's one of the things I'm really working on. So I'm working on content for that. And that's where I do like a lot of interviewing, kind of like what you're doing right here. So I'm really working on the platform for that and making that a more consistent part of my my whole brand. But I am going, I don't know if you were available, Lisa Loves Fashion, Lisa Smedley. We're going to be getting back together again and do another collaboration. She's a stylist and styled Greenleaf and Raising Dion, and she did several like Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown back in the 90s. So I talked with her earlier this year, and we had a great talk, but like it was an hour that was way too short. Like for her career, way too short. So we're going to get together again. Lily V is an international musician. She's right now in the Maldives, but we're going to get together and talk with her. She's been singing all over the world, and so I'm really excited to talk with her. Meeting up with my girl Melisha, who is just actually working on opening in Alabama a workspace for women. Really excited about that. So there's a lot coming down the pipe. One of the things I love to do on the Sweet Talk Cafe is bring women in, like you, Shar was on there, to talk with women who have businesses, who are doing things in life, who are just regular girls just like the rest of us. But just to show like their motivation, their drive, and what it takes to really get to that point. So the collaborations, I'm really trying to step up so we can all see that some of these people who are really achieved a lot are just like us. They just took each step and just kept going. They never stopped.
That's so true. Now, how can everybody find you on social media?
So you can find me on Instagram right here. I'm The Sweet Life of Stephanie J. On Facebook, Create Your Sweet Life. And you can always find me on my podcast, Getting Made, MADE. I always spell that out because I don't want someone spelling the other Made, MAID. Getting Made with Stephanie J. I have a weekly podcast. Where else am I? Facebook, Instagram, my
Twitter.
website, yoursweetestlife.com. Oh, yeah, I'm not as good on Twitter. I got to get back. You're really good on Twitter. I'm not as good on Twitter. I need to get back on Twitter, and LinkedIn I need to get more active on. I'm on there, but I am not good about posting on Twitter. I'm really, really bad about it. I don't know why. Something about it's like a second thought. But Instagram is like the spot where I hang out the most, and then Facebook on my Facebook group is the other spot that I'm like there. And like I said, you can find me on the podcast, which I'm there weekly. You can catch my podcast, or you can catch I have 37 episodes, so you can go back to the beginning and you can listen to every episode. Yeah, 37. I can't believe it's 37 episodes. I was like, wow, that's really great. I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Consistent with it, but you can catch all those, binge listen. I have some of the interviews on there I've done. I have just me talking sometimes about things, but really focused on helping women move to that next step. Move past that step that they're stuck at and move to that next step. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I don't know if you heard or not, but did you hear about Kobe Bryant today?
I did. I just heard a couple hours
ago. That was so sad. That was so sad. So I'm praying for his family.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's really sad.
I can't even imagine what that would feel like. I can't even for life. I'm just, but that's one thing, that life is not promised. And that's what I told my kids when this happened. I'm like, kids, people die every day. People are there were 3 other lives lost besides Kobe and his daughter too. And those are family. So you never know when you're going to see somebody. You never know how much time you have. And the time we have here, if we don't spend that time really, doing what God sent us to do, like Kobe did, and he continued to do. But we all went, like my son said, he left a great legacy. But I told them, I said, that's great. Yes, he did. But that's why you got to focus on your legacy and what you leave here. And so people leave here knowing that, Leanne, oh my God, I know Leanne. Yes. Oh my gosh, she did this. And she did everything she was called to do. You want to leave here with that legacy of knowing that you left behind everything God intended for you to do. And that's one of the reasons I started the Sweet Life, is because we have to stop waiting on life and start making life happen.
Right. And that's one of the things that pushed me. Right. Pushed me, because you just never know when your last day is. And so I said, I do not want to live on this life and not fulfill the things that God has placed inside of me, because I was scared,
Exactly. Yep.
So, yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. And that's the first thing I thought about was like my kids were, I'm like, yeah, he did leave his legacy. So that's your job, to leave your legacy, to leave what God's placed in you and to do it. Not, what do you have? I was like, what do I have to lose? Who really care? Who cares about me that much that I'm not worried about what they think? You know what I'm saying? Really, right. It's not like it's going to go on national news if Stephanie Jackson flubs up words on the Sweet Life of Stephanie J. No, it's not. And if it did, I'd be like, well, so did presidents and so did other people. So, but yeah, we really have to stop sitting down and waiting for life to happen and go out there and take it. When we leave is what we leave. I'll leave no regrets. Exactly. And I don't want people sitting back like, wow, she had great potential. she could have done so much. Like, exactly. I don't want to tell people to think about me. I don't think, oh my gosh, she was like, she had this talk. Like, I wanted people to go on here and be like, see, like, the things I did and help people to be able to do that same thing, to move past the fear, get over the fear of starting, and just start. Like, just start. And so, yeah, I mean, I was like devastated for his wife and for his family, but it showed my children, like, kids, no day is promised. That's a 13-year-old girl that's gone, right? I mean, that's so sad. You're not promised just because you're young that you're going to live to fulfill everything when you're an adult. Like, start today. And us adults, there's so many of us that are stuck in our lives of going to work, coming home, going to sleep, getting up, going to work, coming home. You know, we get stuck in that routine and think that's all there is. And then you wait for that day to retire, that infamous retirement day, like, that all things were going to be great. And it's funny because, like, when there was a girl I work with, the week after her husband retired, he passed away. She retired right when he passed away. She died the next week.
Wow.
Like, you just don't, like, waiting for life to happen doesn't guarantee it's going to happen for you.
That's right. Now, do we have any questions for anybody that is listening to our interview? Do we have any questions?
Well, if you ever do, you can always DM me. You can DM Shar. Like, I am totally open. I love when people question me or send me messages or questions or anything, because, like, I want to do anything I can to help anyone to move into a life they really want to live. My life is not perfect. Like, we have financial issues. We have parents that are sick. I was just telling my husband, I'm like, man, babe, like, this is getting to be a lot. I'm just getting kind of run down from all of stuff in life, but that doesn't, it's funny, I just recorded a video I'm probably going to share later, but it's me having a purpose that helps me to be able to keep moving, because that purpose is like either like distracts me from all that stuff, or it also, like, it reminds me that those are distractions from my purpose. So even though I have to deal with finances and family and stuff like that, those are still distractions from where God my husband's putting a plug in there for me, where God has for our lives. Those are truly distractions. Yes, I am speaking at a conference in September. Hopefully I'll be speaking before then. I'm still working on some speaking engagements, but in Miami, and it's relationships 101. Marissa Turner is actually putting on the conference. So it's a conference for couples or women who want to be married, or, you know, people who are looking to get married, or they want to be in relationships. It's really, and I'm going to be speaking on self-love at that conference. So that's one of my other big things.
That's exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on all of your entrepreneurial endeavors, everything that you do as a wife.
You're an inspiration to me, Shar. You know that. You're an inspiration to me.
You. You inspire me every day. You do. And like I said, so many times I look online, I'm like, I was just about to say that. You already said it for me.
Like in your head.
Right.
Well, you keep me focused, and, like, I need to get back on my writing. Like, that's one thing that I've kind of, I've been working on some other things, so I've kind of put that to the side, because that's one of my 2020 goals. And actually what really did it was, like, when I started really looking at the publishing process, not that stopped me, but it was like, okay, this is good education. I need to get more educated in this area so that I can really do this right. So I appreciate all the education you put out, because that really helped me to, like, slow down so I can do it right. So I was ready to throw it out there, but I was like, oh no, I need this. This is a book all about the stuff that's on the inside of me. I need to give it 100% justice. So I appreciate all that you share from the publishing perspective, because it's a different arena.
It is. I didn't realize it was so in depth until I got into it, you know, and I'm still learning every day. So.
Me too.
Yeah, and I like to share what I'm learning as I go. So, yeah. So if no one has questions, you can always send a direct message to Stephanie at The Sweet Life of Stephanie J. Send it to me. And Stephanie, send me all your links, because when I upload this to Anchor, I'm going to put all your links on there too.
Okay. Will do. All right.
Well, thank
you so
everybody
much,
for
Shar,
joining.
for bringing me on.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, but I just want to remind you, I said no, but yes, I want to remind everyone to really seek the life that you want to have. Do not be afraid to take risks. And remember, this is not a practice run. This is it. This life is it. This is the one life you get. Do it till you know you've accomplished everything, and then you can say, rest at the end and say, well done. But keep reaching for your sweetest life. Don't ever give up.
Right. Excellent. So keep reaching for your sweetest life. Don't ever give up, and skyrocket your success. All right.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody, for joining me.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.